Karla, I'm going to unmute you because you were the first person that I talked to today on this call, and I haven't had you come up here, and you're a mom who has a career. So I just felt like that was a nice transition. So tell us where you are at today.
Hi, Cathy. Hi, everyone. I was sharing in the pod that we had about how I'm back because of the energy to try to reach new levels. Like, oh my goodness, my heart, it's like bouncing again. I feel like I don't know.
I'm going to give everyone an introduction on you. So Karla was in my program. She was in Made to Do This like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2, maybe it's 3. I get confused with the pandemic. And she built a business that is so successful. And she's actually incredible at a lot of the things that we talked about today. She does branding and brand identity and graphics, and she really helps people to distill that. And she was able to make a real like big splash. And in fact, one of my friends, Britt Morin, who is very successful, has sent me multiple messages about how much she loves Karla. And that says a lot because Britt she knows everybody, including like Paris Hilton. And she's raised $100 million during a pandemic for women-owned businesses. So like, that's the kind of person Karla is. So I just want to give you a lot of credit for being all of that and being a mom and juggling so much on your own. So where are you at today, given that that's where you've come from?
I think, yeah, I can share where I am today. I'm kind of like reflecting on why I feel this way. I feel like I love that it's your space that you let us be vulnerable. And we just feel like, oh my goodness, I can just.
Thank God, we need it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I don't need to like stop. I don't know. Like I can just really be
That's right. You can.
Yeah. So yeah, it was made to do this. I believe it was the fall of 2020. Yes, because that's my dad had just passed away. And it was just your guide. Like I remember you just told me like I was in the middle and I was unemployed again after being laid off back to back. I was laid off in 2018 and then in 2020. And I was collecting unemployment and I was like, and I had just lost my dad. And I was on the moment of like, do I keep extending this unemployment or really believe in myself? And that's why I'm so grateful your program came into my life because it just really gave me that courage. Well, you also gave us the safe space, but the motivation in believing in ourselves, and also that safe space to create something in this community where we lack that. There was nobody know you, so it's like you could start this new identity in this new container of who you want to become without this fear of like what will people will say because they knew nothing about you before.
That's right.
Program and that's what I love about your containers and your vibe and the people that you attract.
Thank you. And thank you for always being so loving, and you're so generous, and you stand out to me as one of like 5 people that always wants me to be reminded of what I do. And I appreciate that you appreciate me.
But for me, like what I always thank you, Cathy. What the story I always talk about with you, it's you told me this thing and it was you just told me go make your first 100K. And
I remember
like if it was so easy, and I was like, but it was like your belief in myself.
Yeah.
That made the whole difference, because I remember I had this friend in the same program Made to Do This, and I told her, Cathy told me this, and I think she's crazy.
And then you did it.
Exactly.
Oh my God, she did it.
She showed me like a way that it was possible. Then it was like 2 people believing in me, that it just made it possible. And yeah, so that was my first year in business. And then the second year I was able to grow at 50%. And here I am in year 3 already, hit 6 figures. And it's just like, now I'm trying to just, I think it's more what I want to do. It's on the contribution and helping change lives. I mean, I still have the balance of doing the freelance work, but I feel like what I wanted to take it further, it's more in the education, the teaching, the helping others.
Please do. Oh my gosh, this is such a breakthrough moment right now. I just saw that. This is huge.
It just feels like another identity, and it just feels hard. And it's like, that's why I'm here again, because like I need that motivation again to try to, okay, like I became this person, I became a successful designer, like selling my services. Now it's like the educator who I want to, I mean, and I already, and I started it with my to-do list. Like it was, I have a big why. Like my dad was an educator, and I saw how, like when he passed away, people came in and shared stories of how he helped them shape their lives, become academics. I'm like, I want to do that. And I already did it. The thing is, like, my problem is amplifying it. Like, I think like I had this goal, if I can change someone's life, and I already did it. And now it's like, then I got stuck. Like, you know, I did the course, and it's just, my problem is just the motivation to keep going. Wow. It's a resistance. You know, I cannot say that I don't have time, because this service, it's keeping me busy, because it is, but I know it's a resistance that I'm not making the time for it.
It's very exciting to me, and I can also hear where the resistance is, but I just want everyone to hear this for a second, which is that there is such a clear invitation for you to now not just be hired to create branding for people, but to create a platform where you teach other people how to create that for themselves, right? So instead of someone hiring you to make logos and all this for this price, you have groups of classes where people pay you this amount, and you teach them the basics to getting some kind of brand consistency and identity and putting something out there that feels, and it's, I mean, it's so huge and so big. And I've been talking about it all day today and yesterday, because when talking to people about what marketing is, you heard me just talk about it before. I was on a podcast call earlier today, and I said, what's your offer? And she's like telling me, and I go, if your offer was an animal, what is it? If your offer was a color, what is it? If your offer was a season, what is it? And she's like, I never thought like this. I'm like, this is business. Business is, I need a brand, I need words, I need values, I need something to hold on to, because we buy identity. You just talked about your identity. That was the word. If we were playing a drinking game, that's the word you said more than anything, right? And we've been talking about that a little bit all day. So it's huge to me. And if I did this once before and it worked, I'm going to do it again, like Mary Poppins jumping into the sidewalk with you. I want to paint the picture for you, which I see so clearly, of you building a multi-million-dollar business, working less because you're not trading time for your service anymore. You are teaching, and you are teaching women how to come through your world and learn how to create through templates and consistent ideas, and how they can start putting these things into play, you know, of creating some kind of branding for themselves. And how cool that is. It's so cool, and it's so powerful. And what I also hear in the resistance is, I hear what you're not saying, which is, who am I to teach this? And I also hear you saying, if I'm such a big-hearted person, and that's part of my identity, which it is, and that's why I'm, you know, still doing all of this while being a single mom, if I'm still doing all of this while doing freelance work for free, how can I be what happens is, once we make a certain amount of money, we say to ourselves, well, would I be out of integrity if I make more money? Right? You know, especially if I'm teaching. So think about all the people that do both. You just said to me with so much genuine love and sincerity, Cathy, you changed my life. You paid me to be made to do this. Right? And you were in that class with like 800 people or 500 or whatever it was, hundreds of people. And yes, and Deepak Chopra is a billionaire. Chopra is huge. They teach constantly, classes, retreats. You can get yoga certification. And people will say, what they will say about him when he leaves this world we wouldn't have enough time to hear and listen to all the stories and the letters. It's not mutually exclusive. You can be significant. You can be kind. You can be generous. Look at Oprah. You can be philanthropic, and you can get paid to teach. You can get paid to do all of these things. And that's a good thing. That's a service, right? That's a service. If Steven Spielberg had the generosity in his heart to teach a masterclass on filmmaking, people would pay, and they would be ecstatic to pay to take that class, right? So there is a way in which you know that this is the invitation. This is your next step, because you will get burnt out of doing services after a while. There's only so much you can get paid for your time. And you've mastered that level. 3 years, you went to 6 figures, you doubled it by 50%, and then now it's already here and done it again. It's time. For everything you've ever made, every logo, every design, there's a person who wants to know how you made that in a line of about 1,000 people. There's a line of 1,000 people who want to know how you made everything that you made, and they want to do it for themselves. I mean, everybody who comes through my programs doesn't know the first 3 things about creating just some kind of branding, some kind of simpleness, you know? And I was amazed that Britt reached out to you and you helped with that. I mean, Britt Morin knows a lot about creativity and branding. In fact, she is somebody who knows more about that than most people I know, and she worked with you on that. Says so much about your capacity and your talent, and it is time. And it is actually a disservice to women when we start to play small like that, because we can only help people rise as far as we rise. And so the part of you that's like, who am I to do this? And then am I no, let's go. There's this next level of you that is standing there generously offering for a small transaction for you to put people through a process where now they show up in the world and people feel something. Because every time I have someone in a hot seat, they're like, I don't know, it's very vague what the offer is. It's like, give me a word, call it something, take a chance, give me a big idea, give me 3 colors, use them again. Like, you have so much, it's time, and you know it, and you already have people who want this from you. That's why you're feeling this way. I'm the 100th person in the last month who's asked you to do this, and you know that.
Yes.
So what's it going to take for you to just step into that?
Well, just how I did it the very first time. And it's just getting out of my own way and just really make it happen. Because I remember at the end of Made to Do This, like, it was about to end, and I really wanted to try the education, and I was hiding behind the service, which was great because that's what made it like work. It was something I want to make work as well, but it was until the end. It's always like the procrastination, and it's like, I really need to do this offer. And I did that logo design class, and I had 20 people, and it was sign up, and it was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. Like, I was hoping, like, when I sent the survey that you had told us to do, I was just hoping people will say, like, this sucks, like, and it'll be like the validation that this is not what I want to, like, that I should be doing. But people loved it. And yeah, it's just keep showing up and making it happen. I struggle a lot with putting my own work, giving it the same value as client work, as I'm such a people pleaser. And this is why I like to just have this level of accountability, that it's like, okay, if I'm telling someone, and then I'll probably, most likely, I'm going to do it rather than just telling it to myself.
So you know what, I want to say 2 things. One, what I realized about life is that the most exhausting aspect is holding myself back from where I know I'm supposed to be. Whether it's setting a boundary, charging more, firing someone, hiring someone, buying the bigger house. Whenever I hold myself back from where I know I'm supposed to be, that is the most exhausting, defeating energy zapping aspect of my life. And so that is going to feel so freeing when you're like, no, I am not holding myself back. And the other thing about what you just said, because I'm a people pleaser and I am in recovery from that, but when you're a people pleaser, that is a survival skill. And what I've come to learn that has helped me is that people who are manifestors and leaders, you were made to be polarizing. If you are not repelling people, you are not doing your job. You're not leaning hard enough. Leaders have a point of view. They don't say, I agree with everyone all the time, everywhere. That is someone who is a people pleaser. That's a liar. That's a person who doesn't have courage. Because the truth is that everyone does have a point of view. And they do have a price that they want to charge. And they do have something they want to say. And they do have an authentic, sense of who they are. And we hide because we want to be safe. But when you really this is what helped me, is I really got it, that leadership and manifesting means if I'm doing it, if I'm actually doing it right, I should be polarizing. And if I'm not, I haven't even shown up yet. I'm playing small. So that I should be saying things that trigger people, meaning, and I'm saying this on purpose to push you, because none of the things you're talking about doing are triggering. But what I am saying is, when you're a people pleaser, you condition yourself to only take up so much space so that people don't notice you so much, so that you don't subject yourself to bothering anybody or being hurt or saying something that could get someone upset. Because if you had someone like that in your life when you were a little kid, you just learn to shrink. But what I'm saying is something that's the extreme, so that you feel that part of you get activated, right? And when you think about the women that you admire, they're not afraid to repel people.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to have a point of view. They will let people exit. Whether it's Adele or Beyonce or Serena Williams or any woman that you think is amazing, it's because she's powerful, and that power means she is okay with being visible, because she knows that the more you don't fit in, you stand out. And the more you stand out, people can comment. And we have to resist the urge to fit in and not stand out. You were born to stand out. And that's what the education space means. Here she comes. People will see you, right? People will have a comment about everything. And that's only really a few people. Because the truth is, the majority of people in this world are kind. And when you travel the world, you see how eager people are to help and be there for you and invite you into their homes. And it doesn't matter their race or their religion. People are really kind. And the world really is a loving place. And there also will be some people who go, no, I don't like the way she talks. No, I don't like that she's this. I don't like that. There'll be other people who are like, you're exactly what I need. Thank God. Thank God you have that background, because that's exactly what I need. Right? And there's going to be people who say that about me. Oh, well, you don't have this degree, or you don't know how to teach funnels. And then other people go, thank God you don't do that. That's the reason I come to you. But you know that your satisfaction, we talked about it at the beginning of this call, you know that your satisfaction only comes from one place, which is being authentic. And every single moment that you are a little bit not authentic, it feels like shit. And all we all really want is to be authentic. That's what feels like abundance, because that's freedom. And so you have a lot to give and a lot to say, and you are so ready to do it. And then there's this voice that goes, oh God, people are going to roll their eyes. Who are you to teach this? And oh my God, how you teach this is not how I want to be taught, or whatever it is. And You're going to have to be authentic and say, this is what it is. This is who I am. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars now cumulatively over the last 3 years making these things because I know a thing, because I'm good at it. And this is how I teach it. And this is how I help you. And you either like it or you don't. And then you remind them, and you don't have to like it. Your tax dollars don't go to me. You are encouraged to make your choice. You're a grown-ass adult. Please leave if you don't like it. And then you remember you're only there to teach a very small group of the world. Most people, not your person. So that's the good news. That's the relief. You don't have to convince most people to be your student. But for the people who are exactly waiting on you, where they're like, I'm so glad Karla showed up, which is exactly who I needed. I needed this exact lesson from this exact person. You are so kind, so giving, so generous, and so good at what you do.
Thank
And
you.
there are people who, when they step into brand identity, they'll only believe someone like you because you're so loving and you're so real. And somebody else who's like Mrs. like perfect curated person over here, they would be like, I already feel like I'm at a deficit because I'm not like you and I'm not, whatever that is. And so there's a way in which you can help people, and they really need it. This is something people really need. The same way that I was like, I resisted teaching a podcasting course because I was like, feels like so, it's like technical and it's this. And I was like, wait a minute, people need it. People ask me all the time, whether I like it or not, how do I get started? How can you help me? And I'm like, so I should then teach it, right? Because I teach it differently than Pat Flynn teaches it. So it's like, how would I teach it? Well, I would teach it like this. Great. And I'll just tell you, that is $1 million business. That is $1 million business. And you have such big dreams. And the biggest dream you have is stepping into your potential. And that is an incredible way for you to start to really feel the beginning of what that feels like to not hide. So I hope that you will lean in. And here's like a couple strategic things. Everyone in this group would probably come to a free class you would teach on branding and how they can start to like position their Instagram, blah, blah, blah. Everyone in this group would probably give you feedback on what they would pay, how long they'd want it to be, what exactly they'd want to learn, how to build, how to do. And then people like me and Britt would be so happy to do Instagram stories for you because we already know what you do and we have an audience. Like, you're sitting on gold because you've shown up and done the work. You built the well before you were thirsty. It's go time. And what this really is expanding your capacity to let it be really good. Because there's some belief you have that if you're really rich and happy, some shoe is going to drop, because that's what you've been holding it back. You've been making as much as you can without going over what you were willing to receive. And I used to have that. I was like, once I make him over $1 million, obviously I'll lose my marriage because he'll be threatened. And it was this unconscious thought. And then I made 5 million. I was like, oh, at this point, now it's going to end. And now I'm like, we finally confronted that this summer. It was horrible at first. I was like, what's happening? Oh my God. And then I was like, I feel like I'm going to like outgrow you. And he's like, yeah, you outgrew me in this way. And I did. He goes, you did like years ago. I go, and what happened? He goes, we're fine. I'm like, oh my God. Great. Oh God. I was afraid of outgrowing you. He's like, yeah, in that department, you completely did. I don't at all feel okay about tolerating any of it. You're right. You're on your own over there, but we're okay. And our marriage actually exists over here. And I was like, oh my God. But I literally thought we were going to break up. So I was like holding it back. It's insane, the unconscious beliefs, but I'm telling you, there is a belief you have right now about making lots of money and being unrelatable and then not being a pleaser, and that people won't like you when you're rich. And I'm telling you, the people who won't like you no matter what you are. You can be poor, rich, fat, thin. You can live in the South, the North. If they don't like you, they don't like you. Forget them. That's it. There is a belief around people pleasing and making this money because you already know this business is already built. It's 3 steps. You've already built the business.
Yeah, yes, I just need to thank you for the encouragement and to make me see that. Yeah, it's like I had just put a break into like, okay, I made it this far, and it's like I needed that stretch to be like, okay, because I can go further, and I know it's gonna make a difference in my life, in my future, and how I can help many other people that way.
Yeah, and I think that we also have beliefs, which is like once you've made a certain amount of money, there's a feeling of being disloyal, like Moana leaving the island. If people who came before you didn't make that much money, at a certain point, it's like, am I greedy when I make more? What happens? Do I then not look up to my parents because I've outgrown what they made? There's all these cultural beliefs also that we have. And I have a friend who didn't want to make more than her father because like she has this good relationship with her father and she didn't want to emasculate her dad, but it was so unconscious. And it was like, that's not what would emasculate your dad. If that's what, then there's no relationship with that. He should be happy for you. And so she realized that, but there's all these unconscious things, and you've done really, really well to have the courage to make this kind of money. But money really is everywhere and endless. And the more that we allow in instantly, the more we give out. Just like everything else, the more energy I have, the more energy I have to give. When I get a good night's sleep, I instantly have more energy to give the next day. It is constantly in and right back out. So really what you can think about is the more you have a capacity to receive, the more you instantly just gave. That's what happens. So we should all be stretching ourselves and say, how much more love can I receive? How much energy can I receive? How much money, how much Wi-Fi, how much oxygen? Because I can give, not that I can give, you will instantly give more. That money goes into a bank account, which then funds people's mortgages and student loans on impact. That's how the system works. So when you make money, it makes somebody money instantly. It pays someone's credit card instantly. That's what abundance does. Actually, literally. It funds people's mortgages. That's what it's doing. We live in a system of oneness. There is no way to get out of it. And half of it goes right back to the government, whether you like them or not. It's literally, we are interdependent. May God bless all of us to get that so you can just keep receiving, because then you became more of a, what happened today? I go to my kid's school and one of the moms is like, you know, you have a lot of pull around here because you're one of the bigger donors. And I'm like, cool, look at that. Because I make money, guess what's happening now? I'm creating a mindfulness program at my kid's school. So the money that I make goes now to these kids, K through 6th grade. And they're getting mindfulness teachers and they're going to be meditating. And we have this new plan that twice a day on campus, everyone's going to be quiet for 5 minutes in meditation. How cool that the money that came here now goes right to them, right? And I said, can I give money to support the teachers? Because I want them filled up. You see what abundance does? Get excited, you guys. Start writing the checks that you haven't even cashed yet for things you want to see change in the world. Gets really fun. So let's turn it around. Let's see it how it actually is. And then let's get busy creating and giving and being generous and being a badass woman who's showing other women they can receive money like that. And they can actually do, and they can do a lot in their own business, which is really what you're teaching. You're going to teach people to fish. They all need that branding, Karla. I'm telling you. ASAP. They need it yesterday. And they can't all hire someone to do their graphics. So anyway, I love you guys very much. Thank you for staying on long. I just wanted to spend a little extra time with you. I really love these calls. I really love today's conversation and hot seats. I appreciate you guys. And I will see you next week. Lots of love.
Thank you, Cathy.
Thank you so much. Thank you.